You know you don't f***ed up, right?
I'm trying to get rid of her. I'm trying to get away from her. As the video shows, you know.
You know you don't f***ed up, right?
Creep on in, on in, on
in. Kang, Black Cowboy, Apollo Creed's nemesis, Jonathan Majors. That's the man who we're discussing here today. The man whose face always appears to be doing the duck face or duck lips every time you look at him in a photo or on television. And quite frankly, he had one of the more embarrassing and self-incriminating interviews that you can ever find out there on ABC recently. Now, I know I'm a little late to the party and I haven't really dove into this issue yet, but today we're going to go ahead and react to the video and just figure out exactly where he went wrong. Because quite frankly, he went way, way, way wrong. And I'm starting to think that he is really bad at acting like himself in real life. So let's stop wasting any time and get into it. Also, before we get into it, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel, as our next goal is 10K, but let's get to 2 first. You know, let's at least get to 1.5. Let's get anywhere beyond where we are today. Thanks for watching.
Why did you decide you wanted to talk now?
Yes, that's a very good question. Why now? Why wait until this point to start speaking? Though, yes, this interview was a while back, but I mean, he did wait a couple weeks after this verdict.
I felt like it was time. A lot has happened in my personal life, in my career, in the culture.
What does the culture have anything to do with why you need to speak out on this? Like, a lot has changed and what a lot has happened in the culture. Like what? You getting convicted? That's nothing new. Another black man being convicted of something that seemed very minuscule and over-the-top punishment probably. That's nothing new, guy. Also, the last time I knew somebody who was trying to do something for the culture, it was Nate Robinson, and he got his ass completely knocked out on live television.
Dog is singing the hymns. He's trying to get
And conversely, the impact of this is about responsibility and coming forward and being brave.
Oh, Lord. Now he's talking about being brave. Brave, stunning, wonderful, courageous.
In an ABC News exclusive, actor Jonathan Majors sat down with me in his first interview since a jury handed down a guilty verdict for reckless harassment, a misdemeanor, and a violation of harassment in the second degree.
Okay, so once again, this is why I have a hard time dealing with this whole thing to begin with, because these are misdemeanor charges. Like, these are not capital murder charges like people have blown this out to be. Now, was it stupid and reckless what he's done? Absolutely. Should he lose all his contracts to Disney though? No, I don't believe so. I just feel like all these punishments, this rush to make sure, oh my God, we got to clean our slate here, is just over the top. Like, why are we, just bumping Kang from the entire multiverse, like, which is the last thing they have standing on? Like, it's the last good thing that Marvel has going for it for the most part now, and they're pretty much just gonna throw it out the window for a misdemeanor. Like, come on, man. Like, what are we doing here? I mean, seriously, what are we doing? The Flash is still out there. Ezra Miller is still out there making movies. And actually, that's a good question. Who's going to make the next comeback first? I'm serious. Like, who's going to make the biggest comeback first? Is it going to be Jonathan Majors or Ezra Miller, who was out there? We all know. If you don't know about them charges, look them up. It's sick.
I haven't seen my daughter in a long time. And a lot of it has to do with this situation. It all has to do with this situation.
Kang, it's not like they have you literally on 24/7 house arrest, or they've had you locked up this entire time. You could have seen your daughter. It sounds like you got something else going on with your daughter. Is why she's not coming around to see you at this point in time. Is she not supporting you? Does she not agree with what you've been doing? Have you been a bad father? I don't know. But don't sit here and blame this entire situation of you not seeing your daughter on this. That doesn't even make any sense. Like, you were able to go home. Hello? So she can't come see you? She doesn't come visit? She don't call? Nothing? I mean, you can't do a Skype call? Video chat? Nothing? WhatsApp? Nothing? I don't get it. That's cap.
She needs to see this, and the hard things need to be done. But it's been hard. Everything's kind of gone away.
As things tend to do in these situations where you put yourself in trial or you got yourself up on charges, things do disappear. Cancel culture is kind of real, even though I really don't believe you can be fully canceled these days. People are like, cancel culture, cancel culture. I just, like, who's really been canceled outside of my boy, like, Aziz Ansari? I haven't really seen anybody else really get canceled and never return. Everybody else seems to be able to come back. So can you.
And it was on that movie set back in 2021 where he met 30-year-old British dancer Grace Jabari.
Well, it seems like to me, Jonathan, that you chose like the easiest piece of ass that you can find on set to go over there and holler at. I mean, do you not really think a dancer's not going to want to talk to one of the top of the line actors out there who's making millions on millions of dollars from project to project? And maybe you ain't even making millions and millions, but you're making millions, making big bucks. I don't think she's getting paid that much to be on set. I mean, quite frankly, she's just a dancer. I don't think she's getting paid much more than the extras out there. So she's coming up quite a bit if she's going to be hooking up with you. Do you not see the disparity in between y'all's occupations and see where the come up could be, where the cash grab could potentially be in the future? Not saying that she doesn't care about you at all. I don't really know the depths of your relationship to that point. But to me, just seems like a questionable grab of like, I don't know. It just seemed like she was easy, I guess, because quite frankly, could you not do better? Not saying she's bad looking, but you know, kind of mid.
The pair dated until March of 2023 when Majors called 911 the day after a fight that was caught on surveillance video.
Now, I will say this part is where I'm like, okay, so it seems like she just so happened to have these major issues after this fight that they supposedly had, which it's not really supposedly. They did have this fight. You can see it on surveillance here later in the video, but it's like, this is a very convenient set of circumstances here for her. Like, oh my God, I'm just choked out, or whatever happened to her. She just seemed like something, like she'd been drugged or beaten half to death. Either way, you'll see something later on.
What happened exactly? Do you know?
No, I don't know. But she's unconscious. She's my ex-partner. We broke up. I came back. She sent me text messages insinuating this much. I stayed in a hotel last night. I came home this morning.
Okay, so you came back home. You stayed in a hotel. Okay. Help me understand why you stayed in the hotel. Why didn't you go home and she stay in the hotel? Why does she get to have access to your house, to your place? None of that makes any sense. Bad decisions 101. She needed to go to a hotel. You should have checked her into a hotel or whatever. She can't come back. She doesn't have ownership of this place, I'm assuming. I'm assuming it is in your name. The deed or whatever is taking place is in your name. If it's your place, then she can't just be there unaccounted for. She's your girlfriend. She's not your wife or fiance or anything even close to that. She's not legally obligated to have this place. So why would you choose to do this? Like, why would you just choose to be the beta male here and just sit down and just be like, you know what? No, man, I guess I just got to leave. I mean, she told me to go sleep on the couch. Man, F that. That's your bed. That is your home. But yet you're going to let her have the place and wake up in a closet somewhere just all knocked out and drugged up or whatever's wrong with her, half beaten to death, scratches all over the place.
Police found Jabari on the closet floor of their apartment. Majors was arrested by New York City police, accused by Jabari of assault, strangulation, and harassment.
Now, based on the injuries that she had, it definitely looked like a whole lot of that was taking place. And when you look at the surveillance tape, when it'll show later that you can believe some of this happened. It didn't look good, especially from a distance.
Convicted last month, but acquitted of 1 count of assault and 1 count of aggravated harassment, meaning the jury didn't believe he assaulted her intentionally.
And what does that even mean? You didn't assault her intentionally. Like, how did they even come up with this defense? Which seems like they were really looking out for you, bro. Like, hey, I don't think he meant to choke her out on purpose. You know what I'm saying? I just don't think he meant to slap her across the face on purpose. That's not what he intended when he was grabbing her across the throat and when he slashed her behind the ear or whatever was taking place. When he threw her back in that Escalade or that SUV that she was going to be in, or he was trying to put her in at first. I don't think he meant any of that. No. It sounds to me like they were looking out for you, homie. That's just me. I don't get it. None of that makes any sense to me. I don't know how you unintentionally assault somebody. I've never accidentally beat somebody's ass. I've never done that. I've never even seen that happen before. Where does that happen at?
Your reaction to that verdict?
I was absolutely shocked
I get that.
and afraid.
Understandable.
I'm standing there, and the verdict comes down. I say, how is that possible?
But these people were sitting here thinking, how is it not possible after we looked at the surveillance tape? And the fact that, like, the testimonies didn't really add up to the stuff that you're trying to act as a defense. It just didn't line up.
Based off the evidence, based off the prosecution's evidence, let alone our evidence. How is that possible?
Now, like I said, you'll eventually see some of the surveillance tape here later in the video, but I mean, you know what? I don't want to spoil it. Well, let's just keep progressing.
After the verdict, in a statement, Jabari's attorney wrote in part, "Justice was finally served today, proving that the truth can prevail even in the face of power. Grace did not choose to be in this situation. Grace has been publicly attacked as a result of her courage to testify to the truth, but her unwavering resolve to see this case through to the end was born out of her desire to give other survivors similar courage when justice requires."
God, I really hate these public statements that are given out by these attorneys and these like lawyers and stuff like that. I mean, they just make people just seem like the biggest pussies that you can possibly find out there on the planet. I mean, the courage, the sacrificing of everything they've been through. They really put themselves out there. The dangerous, rhetoric that's been put out there in their name, the lack of defense, the public scrutiny, the fact that everybody's been out there just accusing them of grifting and trying to steal headlines, which, I mean, quite frankly, I get some of that because, I mean, it does kind of come off that way, that it's like, this seems like it's a very over-exaggerated claim, but, I mean, if you're trying to win in court, you got to over-exaggerate some things, but I hate it. They just make everybody seem so weak. I mean, we already have enough people in this world, and especially during today's modern age of just wanting to be a victim. Everybody wants to be a victim, and when they come out with these statements, everybody's a super huge victim, and it's like the victim Olympics is just at its biggest peak here, and she's really going for the gold.
The prosecution has described your relationship with Grace Jabari as tumultuous and abusive. How would you describe that 2-year relationship?
I loved Grace.
I don't know, something about the way you said that just didn't make me really believe that. Didn't seem very convincing. I mean, great attempt at acting, but love seems very strong.
Our relationship was, it was not healthy.
Clearly.
And that began to reveal itself over time, but there was no abuse.
How are you going to say there's no abuse? Jonathan, King, Cowboy, either way, just because it might not be physical abuse all the time doesn't mean abuse doesn't take place. You could be abused too. I hope everybody's got to get these terms of like abuse doesn't mean you just strangled the life out of somebody or you slapped them sideways with baby powder and anything like that. Abuse can be verbal. It can be mental. There's a lot of different ways you can psychologically destroy someone. Now, I'm not going to just naturally accuse them of that, but I'm just saying, don't forget there are other forms of abuse out there. So I just feel like the way he's describing it here, even though it's very brief, I feel like he's just looking at it like, well, hey man, she ain't got no black eyes, she ain't got bloody nose, broken nose, or anything like that. I'm just saying. There was no abuse. None.
In court, Jabari claims she sustained head injuries, but never said how she received them.
Which is definitely shady.
Entered into evidence these partially redacted text messages from September of 2022.
After they start reading these text messages, you'll start to feel a little differently about this situation.
Majors writes, "It's just fake, and I fear you have no perspective of what could happen if you go to the hospital. They will ask you questions, and as I don't think you actually protect us, it could lead to an investigation, even if you do lie and they suspect something."
Johnny boy, that does not sound good. That is not what you want to put in text.
Jabari responds in part, "I will tell the doctor I bumped my head. If I go, I'm going to give it one more day, but I can't sleep and I need some stronger painkillers. That's all. Why would I want to tell them what really happened when it's clear I want to be with you?"
I don't know about you, but that sounds like, look, I know you slapped the shit out of me yesterday, but I really don't want to tell anybody what happens. I'm just saying, I have a major headache right now, and I really need some better painkillers than them Tylenol PMs that you've been giving me over and over again. Like, I can try to sleep this off, but every time I wake up, my head is still banging. Can you please help me out? Like, I won't tell them anything, even though I know you're like, please don't go to the hospital because, if you go, they're going to start asking questions. They see brother here, white girl here, just saying, like, it's not going to look good. It's not going to look good.
This is literally a nightmare. I don't know what happened. I don't know what injuries you're talking about.
All right, dog. I have a hard time believing you don't know what injury she's talking about. I mean, she clearly had a broken finger. Something was wrong with that finger. I mean, she is pretty white, and that finger was pretty black. Just saying, it looked pretty effed up. She clearly had scratches behind her ear, and she definitely looked like there was some throat. Something's going on here. Now, I don't know how you personally choke yourself out, but it looks like somebody did something to her.
2022, where she says you started throwing things, including a candle.
So you were throwing temper tantrums, chunking that candle that I have over there just all over the place, I guess, breaking items, just throwing a hissy fit. Sad.
Tell us what happened there.
Yes, please tell us.
You know, we were in an argument. I was on the other side of the room, away from her, as I think she testified.
You think she testified that, or did she not? I mean, it seems like your memory's starting to fade here a little bit, Jonathan. You don't remember how she got any of these bruises or scratches or any of the marks on her. Now you can't seem to remember what she testified. I have a hard time believing that somebody as, well, a great actor as you are just doesn't remember anything. I mean, you have to remember some pretty detailed and long lines of dialogue to get into these major films and productions. I have a hard time believing that your memory is just this bad.
And by my bedside table, I did a sweep, and I knocked over my candles. I completely lost my temper in that moment and threw it all on the ground.
This sounds like you were actually acting out a scene in a movie. Like, who actually literally just does the sweep? I've never seen anybody in real life get so upset, and I've seen a lot of angry people. Hell, I've been pissed off before. Never done a clean sweep of a counter before. Never just knocked off everything that was on there, whether it was glass or whatever, and just shattered it all over the place out of pure anger and hatred. I've seen a lot of people punch walls, but I've never seen anybody do an actual clean sweep. Like, this sounds literally out of fiction. Like, it sounds like you were tapping into character. I don't even know if you had true emotions here. Like, sometimes what people don't realize is some of these actors, some of these people who are in Hollywood, they just get so far away from reality that they just start becoming different characters altogether in real life. They just don't even know who they are anymore. And they just start lashing out in ways that aren't even natural emotions. Like, who does that? Like, that's me just sweeping this candle out of just off of this coffee pot here and just breaking it on the floor. Who does that?
What she also said is that afterwards I wept and cried in the corner and said I was sorry and this. And I was.
Okay. So never mind. Let's get this straight. You were the one having this psychological breakdown. You were the one. You wept and cried in the corner. You know, first of all, now you're really starting to make yourself sound like a big bitch, Jonathan. Like, you wept and cried in the corner. Like, just let's get this image in my head right here. You just over there in the corner crying like a little punk. And I just don't understand. I don't get it. You wept and cried. I told you, this sounds like it's out of fiction. So you did a clean sweep of the counter. You knocked over all this stuff out of anger and rage. And then after you realized you were just going crazy out of this anger and rage, you went over to the corner, you cried like a little baby, and thus you apologized and felt sad and sorry about everything. Okay, now it really sounds like you need to be checked into a hospital. Like, you need to get checked out, homie. Like, you might be bipolar like Kanye. And Kanye's got a lot of stuff going on.
The prosecution said you allegedly wrote, "I'm a monster, a horrible man not capable of love. I'm killing myself soon. I've already put things in motion."
Oh, Lord, here we go. A trip down guilt trip memory lane. I mean, here's one for the ages right here. This is just like college behavior here at this point in time. Like, dude, you're in your 40s and you're still texting people like this. I'm myself. Like, please don't. Look, I don't promote any of that. Like, self-deletion is not cool. And anybody who's actually on the verge of that, I've talked about it on this channel before. Please go get help. But anybody who's openly talking about this stuff, I truly don't believe they're really about that. Like, a lot of these people who struggle from them issues, they just don't bring it to anybody's attention. This is college level beta boy behavior. And I hate to say beta. I need to stop saying that. That's just cringy. But either way, it's like, stop saying this stuff out loud. Who sends this in text message? All you're trying to do is guilt trip this woman into feeling bad for you and coming back to you. That's all you're trying to do, is make her feel terrible. That way she'll stop, tripping or whatever you got going on and just leave you alone. Oh, I'm a monster. I'm putting things in place. I'm putting things in place. Like what? Like, you're tying the rope? You got the pills and the alcohol? I mean, what are you putting into motion? Have you wrote out your letters to your loved ones and whatnot? I mean, come on, homie. I don't know. I just find this really hard to believe. I find it hard to believe. I'm sorry, that's just me. Now, I was saying college because I don't like to go back into high school days, because high school is it just seems so far ago and it's just so lame. I just don't give a crap about no high school. But yes, this is high schoolish behavior at the same time. This is like, I have never evolved. I've never dropped. My balls never dropped. That's basically what this is. I just never developed mentally or physically. And thus, this is how I behave in relationships. I still have never grown. When women don't give me what I want, I cry and I just throw a temper tantrum, a pity party, and all sorts of stuff. I start breaking everything. I start rage quitting all over the place, breaking my PlayStation, breaking my television, acting like a Dallas Cowboy fan. All of that nonsense.
Were you suicidal?
I've been diagnosed with severe depression.
Bitch, that is not yes or no. Answer the question. That is not a yes or no. I've been diagnosed with severe depression. Who hasn't? Who hasn't been diagnosed with severe depression since 2020? Everybody has severe depression now. Look at Gen Alpha and Gen Z. They're all depressed. Every single child that's out there, all of them got chronic depression, anxiety, and are bipolar and suicidal at this point in time. Every single one of them. They all have the same problems. And then basically you're just saying the same thing. You didn't answer yes or no. Simple. It's a simple question.
You know, and I'm taking the steps needed to alleviate, you know, some of those symptoms, ideations of.
Okay, he's starting to act now. I really feel like he's acting. He cued the long pause. He did the long pause. Just fake tears coming. The crocodiles.
Removing myself.
For the culture, doing it for himself. He's suicidal, thinking about removing himself. There's a lot of things going on in Jonathan Majors' brain. Quite frankly, I don't think he's in the right mindset to be Kang anymore. I don't think he should be doing movies. This man needs to get a padded coat and go sit down in an empty white room that looks as close to purgatory as you can possibly find at this point in time. That's what it sounds like. Now, if he has these major issues, no pun intended, if he actually has these issues, Jonathan, go get help. Because it sounds like you need a lot of it. You sound like you really need to talk to a shrink, not Dr. Phil. You don't need to be doing this, interview on ABC. You need to go talk to a psychiatrist for reals and get really diagnosed and take some heavy medication. And maybe the medication might not work. Maybe you need to go drink some ayahuasca, take a darkness retreat, do something like that. Go talk to Aaron Rodgers. I don't know. Figure something out.
From situations permanently is a thought that I've had. Since I was a kid.
I'm not going to keep beating him up about these accusations. I'm not going to keep beating him up about the fact that he keeps saying that he was, maybe it's true. Maybe it's true. Maybe he's had these problems since, he was like 6. I don't know if anybody who's been thinking about it since they were that young, but usually this develops after your brain develops a little bit.
It all came to a head in March of last year when Jabari and Majors got into a fight, much of it captured on surveillance video and used as evidence in the trial.
So just looking at that surveillance right there, it looks as if he was lifting her up, slamming her back into the SUV, and then thus later, it seems like somehow she ended up chasing him. So what led to that?
Jabari testified that it all began when Majors received a text from another woman. He says it read, "Oh, how I wish to be kissing you."
Oh, it's on.
Indeed, it's on. Because quite frankly, it doesn't matter what the status is of that woman. Nobody likes to be cheated on. Nobody likes to think that they're just some side chick or some, scrap that you're just laying the piece to on the side. Like, nobody wants to feel like they're just a side dish. I'm sorry, nobody wants to be an appetizer. Everybody wants to be the main course. And if you're going to treat her like the main course, you said, I loved Grace. You said you love Grace. If you love Grace, then what are you doing? Who's this other chick? Who is she? Dropping messages in your phone. She's texting you. And ain't even dropping the DMs. She's got your number. She's got your actual phone number. And she's sitting here thinking, ooh, baby, how I wish to be kissing you. And I'm trying to figure out, what's up? I'm trying to figure that out now. I know she had those questions. Most chicks snap when that happens. Actually, better yet, how would you react if that was coming through her phone? Would you care? I got a feeling the answer is yes.
Things seemed to spiral from there. Yeah. What happened next?
Yeah, the text from another woman. Again.
Still thinking of some excuse here.
I said at the beginning,
I still am thinking of another excuse.
I did that.
No shit.
I did that.
Who else did it? It's your phone. It's you. Who else sent the messages?
I cop to it. I show her. Right? It's in my hand.
Again, this doesn't make any sense. So you showed her the messages now. So you're like, see, she's texting me. She's letting me know that she wants to kiss me. And see, you know what? You need to be wanting to kiss me too. And you need to stop tripping or I'm going to make sure I choke you even harder.
She grabs it.
Okay, she grabs it.
We scuffle for the phone. I pull the phone back. I receive my injuries.
I don't know about you, but I don't know if anybody who's ever said that's how I received my injuries. I would have just said I was attacked. That's when she slapped me. That's when she scratched me across the face. That's when she hit me. That's when she put her hands on me. Not that's when I received my injuries. Who says this stuff? Like, who speaks in this like coded weird, not even coded language? It just, all of it's just weird. I don't understand this. Like, I don't know if I would want to know Jonathan in real life. Like, outside of the set, he seems like an odd guy. But let's keep going forward.
I open the door, I step out. She comes. Then one of the biggest mistakes of my life. I pick her up. I put her back in the car.
You know you done fucked up, right?
I'm trying to get rid of her. I'm trying to get away from her. As the video shows, you know.
You know you done fucked up, right?
Everything calms. We get out. We walk across the street. I escort her across the street.
For someone who's supposed to be coming out here having this tell-all interview where you're supposed to be really coming out with your truth and being brave and courageous and all this stuff about what happened, you really seem to be dancing around with the language that you're using here. You escorted her across the street and then immediately she just started chasing you out of nowhere. That just seems wild to me.
The moment we get across the street, she grabs me. She goes for the phone.
I don't know why, but like, if you can you imagine just like being a pedestrian over here in New York, just watching these people just run down the street, like this woman's clearly chasing this guy. It definitely looks bad because all the videos that the Manosphere and all these other people were promoting out there was like she was chasing after him, and which is if you see the clips, a lot of people show just this part right here where she was chasing after him, and you don't really have any context of the situation. But it's like, well, he snatched the phone and took off and dipped, and it's like, it's funny because he just like had this healthy enough distance between the two where it's like, okay, she can't catch me, but it's like he's not full sprinting. But then again, I wonder if he knows how to run. I mean, he is an actor of all, you know, I mean maybe he runs like Steven Seagal. No, he's better than that. Nobody runs like Steven Seagal.
I get free of her and I run.
But to me, the better question is, why are you running from this little white woman? Like, it don't even matter if she's white. Why are you running from this woman who's tiny? She is itty bitty. I can't imagine her weighing any more than 120 pounds, and that seems quite heavy for her. I mean, she doesn't look like she has that much weight on her frame. What are you running from her for? I mean, does she have a shank? Does she have a knife, a gun, something like that to threaten your life? Doesn't seem like it, because she could have pulled it out at any point in time. Doesn't seem like she had weaponry on her at any point. So I'm trying to figure out, why were you scared? Could you not stop her? I mean, could you do anything else besides run? I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
For blocks.
Yeah, for blocks.
Surveillance video also shows Jabari talking to 3 strangers. She testified they offered to get her home. One of the bystanders can be seen speaking to Majors, who gestures for Jabari to get back into the car.
Okay, so I guess, she tired out. Some people stop her. And you come back and you say, you get your ass back in that SUV. I paid for that Uber and you were going to take that ride. First of all, do you not realize this is an extra large Uber? It charges like quadruple the normal price and it's already expensive. This is New York City and it's already a city that's heavy in traffic. You need to get your ass in that SUV. I paid for it with my money and it's on my credit card or on whatever card I decided to use. Either way, you're going to get in there. Stop playing around. Stop playing victim. Don't you talk to those people. You leave them alone and get back in that Uber.
He eventually leaves without her and goes to a hotel for the night. Jabari leaves with the bystanders.
I'm going to guess that you were on them drinks. I'm going to guess that you had quite a bit of alcohol or some pills or some coke or whatever you Hollywood people want to do out there. I'm just assuming you had something to influence your brain to be like, I'm staying at the hotel. Hotel? Why the hotel? Either that, you must stay in a crappy apartment if you chose the hotel. I mean, maybe the hotels are way nicer. Maybe you stayed at Trump Towers or something like that. Well, I don't know, but I'm just saying, like, maybe that's where you decided to go. But why wouldn't you go home? Why does she get to go home? To your home. She has no home. So be it. If we had this big, squabble out there in the middle of the street, Mortal Kombat style, then why is she going to get to stay in my place? Unless she was in the right. Unless you felt guilty. Just saying. Like, usually this is the guilty man's plea here. Like, you know what? I'll go ahead and take the couch. I was wrong. I'll take the couch. I mean, if you're not wrong, I ain't taking the couch. I'm not going to the hotel. I'm staying at home. Maybe that's just me. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and cut it right there. Part 2 is going to release in a couple of hours.